Hi everyone, my name is Russ Harding. I'm the EQengineered Principal Consultant and Microsoft Practice Lead. Wanted to take a very brief moment and talk about defect leakage. So what is defect leakage? The short answer is that it's a bug that has gotten past the entire team and has wound up in production. It's the metric by which you can identify the efficiency of all of your QA testing. How many defects are missed, slipped during that testing cycle. Now, when I say QA testing, I also want to be clear, I'm not talking about the SQA team, I'm talking about the entire team. Quality assurance is owned by everybody through the team, the developers who write the code, the product managers, product owners who write the user stories, the business analysts that work on the team, as well as the SQA team themselves, and everybody in DevOps, anybody that happens to be involved in testing your application as part of the QA testing cycle. So it's gotten past everybody in the team that's working on this particular project. So some of the impacts of defect leakage is potentially some lost reputation, right? So everybody has a platform nowadays on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, LinkedIn, various other social media platforms, but people have a platform that they can complain about bugs in your software. Even minor application bugs can make your software look sloppy and unprofessional, and sloppy and unprofessional doesn't get customers. Right? So you could also lose time and money. How much does it cost to identify a bug early versus having a customer find it? What is the impact to the customer as well on their end? How much does it cost them? Right? Just think about how much does it cost to employ your developer? How much does it cost to employ your product owner? How much does it cost to employ your SQA team? How much does it cost to actually run the equipment that actually does the whole build and deploy cycle, the QA platforms, all of these different pieces? How much does it cost to find something when a developer finds it? They just fix it. And if a QA member finds it, they have to talk to a developer. They have to rerun their testing. The developer has to fix it. It has to go back through the build and deploy process into the QA environment, rinse and repeat over and over and again. And at each step, it gets further away from the developer. That whole process becomes more complicated, involves more people, takes more time to get done, introduces more risk to get fixed. So it's very important to find something early. It costs a lot less money, a lot less hassle, a lot less reputation as well. Potentially, if these bugs get into production, you could have bad or incomplete data, right? Lost data, invalidated data. I can't tell you how many applications that I have seen over my years where the data is not transactional. So if there's a failure inserting into one particular row on one particular table, you could get incomplete data. And it is a nightmare to try and put that back together, right? Either put it back together or to figure out the other data that should be removed because it's invalid, it's incomplete. And potentially security risks, right? You could have some sort of bug that allows exposure of your data to people out, bad actors, right? People who should not have access to it. Potentially, what is your liability as a company producing the software? What are your customers' liability should their data be exposed, right? And how does that impact you, your customer, and your ability to sell your product? So some mitigation strategies, and I want to be clear, even in the previous slide as well as this one, this is not comprehensive. There's a thousand different ways that you could be thinking about this. Is going to be much more specific to each individual industry. But some things that I found that are relatively universal. Right? Good testing practices. If you find a defect, or if one manages to get all the way to production, create a test case for it. Keep that bug squished. Right? There's nothing more frustrating to anybody than to find a bug, fix a bug, and then a couple of releases later, it gets reintroduced for reasons. Right? Whatever it happens to be, there's nothing more frustrating. So create a test case, maintain those test cases, keep that bug squished. Meaningful logs. Don't just log for the sake of logging, capture meaningful details about an error and help resolve that error. Tell me what has happened. The C# error, right? Object reference on instance to an object. Right, that's a fantastic one. It does tell you exactly what the problem is, but it will be a whole lot nicer if the log was readable by potentially a non-developer. Somebody could understand that the product is null in this particular case, and as a piece of software, I don't know how to handle a null product. Right? I have a bad ID. Right, that's why I got a null value, something to that tune. It may show you that you're inside of a transaction and you're trying to read dirty data and you can't yet because the transaction hasn't been committed. Could be any number of things, right? But create meaningful logs, something that'll actually point you to the problem and help you figure out where in the code that it is. If you're getting the same error message from 100 places, it's very difficult to narrow it down. But if you have specific text for a particular error or some sort of error code or something that helps you identify exactly where a problem is coming from, that's going to save you mountains of time. Reporting, all right? Create some reports around these logs, around your metrics, around information that's being captured if you're in a cloud provider. Make those reports visible publicly. That helps enforce accountability and responsibility by each of the team members to help ensure that a quality product is released. I've done this a couple of times before where we'll create dashboards, something relatively high level, put it up on TV monitors around the office. It's really great to be able to just see at a glance. I'm walking in the morning. I know that the error messages are expected, if there are any error messages, because they're all self-healing, or whatever happens to be going on. If something as bad is happening, I can see it immediately when I'm walking in the door, maybe from halfway across the office, so I know that something is wrong. And you can deal with that quickly. It's very easy to understand, and anybody walking in the door can see this problem. They may not know how to do something with it, but they might know enough that there's something wrong and they can escalate that. If your product is big enough, valuable enough, important enough, I've worked in a couple of companies where we have dedicated support teams. It could be a small team, 1-2 people. They could have a rapid escalation channel to be able to identify and fix defects. They could be able to handle some small things on their own. But these teams can be invaluable. They can be a direct interface. They can really make that reputation improve because you now have somebody that's dedicated, that's listening, that hears you and is able to actually advocate for the customers, because they're the ones that are feeling that pain every single day. And they're that advocate for the customer, for the user, back to the software development team. So having a support team, if the product is big enough, it can actually bear the burden and actually make sense, it can be a huge benefit. That was pretty much it. Real quick, thank you very much. Again, my name is Russ Harding, and I really appreciate you taking a couple of minutes to listen to my quick little spiel about defect leakage. Good luck, good hunting, and goodbye.